Welcome everyone. Welcome to the Small Fleet and Owner Operator Summit. I'm delighted to be joined by Adam Wingfield, and I'd like to pass it over to Adam and get him to introduce himself.
Well, thanks, Johnny, and good afternoon, or whatever time we're in, to everybody that's joined this discussion. My name is Adam Wingfield. I am the founder and managing director of Innovative Logistics Group. We are a trucking consultant and carrier services firm located here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Our goal to the industry is to provide resources and success guidance to small carriers in the industry. We have three pillars of focus, one of them being profitability, where we teach carriers to maintain profitability. We also teach folks compliance so that they stay in compliance, and then we provide them resources through our vast network. Got about 20 years of industry experience in trucking. I've seen the highs and the lows and everything in between, and I'm super excited to join this discussion today.
Thanks, Adam. As we've just experienced a holiday, being an insurance company, we're constantly monitoring data, and one of the areas that we monitor in particular is cargo theft, and we see massive spikes in holiday seasons, and obviously Memorial Day holiday, long weekend, certainly going to show some interesting data. What do you see as in sort of cargo theft, within your organisation, and especially as the economy starts to open back up again?
Well, obviously the impact of the economy opening back up, restrictions being loosened, mean that there's more trailers, there's more freight that hitting the highway. You can almost say that than ever before. I think the biggest thing is the awareness and situational awareness amongst small carriers to understand truly that cargo theft is an issue, and it is a real issue. Particularly around holidays, and I know you've probably seen it on the insurance side, Johnny, that during the holidays, specifically the summer holidays, and then you kind of back into the Q3 and Q4 holidays such as Christmas and things like that. It's an opportunity time for a lot of folks to either be caught without being aware of the fact that cargo theft is an issue, and then it's also opportunistic for the bad guys to be able to kind of look for those folks that are not really prepared for it and don't take the proper steps from that standpoint.
Absolutely, and as the economy starts to pick back up, we're certainly seeing a lot more activity. People being more prudent with their risk management, and also the increase in freight volumes. It's been very interesting to see the fact that a lot of our inquiries today are freight brokers and owner operators that are really concerned about the high value freight that is now being moved as the economy starts to open, and the sophisticated crime syndicates that are out there that are targeting that freight. And one thing that we always recommend is to obviously make sure that we are proactive and prudent and act as a prudent uninsured, whilst we always expect our insureds to be fully insured, but there is a process that needs to be followed. And what would you recommend to owner operators to ensure that they monitor their risk management sufficiently?
Well, number one, you got to have a plan in place, anyway, point blank period. You got to have a risk management plan, and that risk management plan should not just include risk management in terms of just having those accidents and compliance, but you also want to have a risk management that surrounds cargo claims, whether it be theft, whether it be damages, whether it be shortage. You always want to have obviously an idea or a plan on how you're going to reconcile those situations. When you move into the functional standpoint of it, you want to think anytime you've got cargo at rest, it's cargo at risk. right? So you have a lot of times where you may have a truck that comes, a driver that's coming home and a truck may be under a load, where that secure parking is provided and where you provide those parking alternatives for the driver is super important. And as an owner operator, you have to understand that as well. One of the things that we talk about too is protecting that and making sure that you do that in advance. Because the worst thing you can do is, have to, I'm stuck with, parking a 70-foot tractor trailer combo in an area that may not be so conducive to safe parking. And now you might have a claim on your hand. You look back and the seal's popped on a trailer. So it's super important for you as an owner operator to make sure that you have those plans in place. When it comes down to parking specifically, we always recommend, you're going to back up, make sure that your trailer doors are backed up to an object, whether it be backed up to another trailer, whether it be backed up to a wall, whatever you can potentially do to make sure that you can minimize the opportunity for those doors to actually be open in transit is super important. Johnny, you talked about high value loads, right? So in high value loads, when you're picking up those high value loads from a shipper, you need to make sure that truck is full of fuel. And the reason why is because you want to be able to pick that truck from the shipper. You want your driver to make sure he has enough hours, or if you're the driver, you want to have enough hours that you pick that load up, you're able to drive 250 miles without stopping. So that way, if there is someone that's following you with that high value shipment and waiting for you to make a mistake, you'll kind of outrun that situation. And then you're just having that situational awareness. When you park that truck or when you stop and go to take a rest break, walk from the back side of the trailer around the other side so you can always keep an eye on the seal, always keep an eye on the locks on the back of that trailer. Always check to see if things are happening. And anytime you can have that digitized tracking and make sure you have those optimal tracking points on TMS systems that actually integrate directly with technology, so that way you can kind of track the shipment all the way through. If you're just, if you're the owner and you have someone as a driver, it's super important to have those touch points. But communication is also very, very key, whether it be digital communication, whether it be phone call checkpoints, whatever that may look like. But you got to have at least a few of those foundational points within your risk management profile to ensure that you're mitigating and you're actually lowering those risks.
Absolutely. And are you seeing the knock-on effect that visibility is giving the industry? Obviously we as an insurance company are always looking to have visibility on our shipments, and therefore as an insurance industry we should be looking to pass on that advantage of having that visibility, in cost savings when it comes to insurance. And when you have sophisticated tracking systems and telematics on your vehicles, are you seeing a positive effect on your premiums?
Absolutely. Especially if you're going to your insurance agent, for renewal, and you're able to provide them, hey, this is what my fleet safety program looks like. This is what my risk management program. These are some of the technologies that we have integrated in that. When you're sitting there talking to an agent about that, and you having those conversations versus the next person who doesn't have that, it provides you with that advantage over that other person just because of what you bring to the table, which in turn lowers the risk, which will in turn lower your liability because you've got things in place versus someone that doesn't. It's super important to have those plans in place and have processes in place, and also have an engineered structure in place to ensure that you're coming about things to lower any opportunity or any risk opportunity that you see. You're able to do that from that standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great to hear. Being in the insurance industry for over 18 years, and one of the reasons that we have focused so much on our digital end-to-end insurance platform is to ensure that claims are handled more efficiently. And at the end of the day, what people are looking for when they buy insurance is to ensure that they're put back in a financial situation they were prior to a loss as quickly as possible. And that is the makeup of our company. And one of the things that we always insist upon or advise to our customers is to make sure that they have the right coverage in place and the right limits available to protect the high value loads, and to do due diligence, etc., to make sure what underlying policies are there, and certainly to make sure that all the documentation is in hand before you depart, and obviously making sure that you follow the best practices as a carrier, not to be negligent. What are the sort of processes that you would recommend to ensure that carriers are not liable for any negligence?
Well, see, kind of goes back to what we kind of originally stated as far as having processes. You talked about having tracking systems in place. Whenever you have tracking systems in place, obviously those things can be deterred. Those things can be compromised. So, what does the backup look like? So, we recommend putting individual GPS trackers on your assets, for instance, to make sure you can keep that continuity of being able to track your devices, right? You want to make sure that when it comes down to cargo, what kind of cargo security plans do you have in place? You got, what do your locks look like, right? You want to make sure also that you're advising never to decouple. If you're under a high value load, or if you're under a shipment, whatever it is, you need to understand what that commodity looks like and what that commodity value is. And if you're under a load period, you shouldn't decouple that tractor from that trailer at any point unless absolutely necessary. Right, so unless you gotta go for an emergency, truck needs to get repairs. But if you do that, make sure that you have devices that that protect that truck and protect that trailer. So number one, do you have a kingpin lock? Do you have glad hand locks? Things that would allow you to be able to decouple, and then it would not allow someone else to be able to back up onto that trailer and hook that trailer and take it away. So things like that. What does your back end in lock process look like? So just having those different security measures in place. I think a lot of it is just really simple. Parking in highly visible areas. If you had a truck stop, don't park at an area where it's dark. Park in the front if you can, where it's really bright and vibrant, and people can kind of see what's going on. The further away that you move away from the obvious, the more you're putting yourself at risk. So when you marginalize those risks, and also providing the carrier providing the driver the details of it, the communication on what those expectations look like, and setting up that plan in advance. Trip planning in advance is super important. Plan what truck stops you're going to use. Plan where you're going to go. Those things are really important as far as high value shipments are concerned. Having a communication with the broker and being on the same alignment with the broker, so the broker understands as well, what is expected from from their standpoint. And just having that open line of communication. If the broker's calling to get a checkpoint on the shipment, it's super important to have that visibility and that line of communication through the entire process of that shipment, just so we can lower the risk. But those are just a couple of things that a carrier can do.
Yeah, no, sure. Adam, just one thing with regards to, obviously we talked a lot about theft, and we received claims with insufficient stowage and securing of the cargo. Have you got any recommendations there for the carriers?
For just securing the cargo, just making sure, like I said, you want to make sure that you have the right locks. Just can't get away just with a regular plastic seal or a pin seal. Make sure that you have a good lock. Making sure you have that kingpin lock that where you can't couple a trailer. Make sure glad hand locks are in place. Making sure that you're backing up to secure areas. Making sure you can't get the doors open if necessary. But doing those things to kind of help protect it. And then also, if you're going to disconnect, making sure that the broker knows where the location of the trailer is. Making sure everybody has visibility onto that. And then having those tracking devices are really, 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 really key and beneficial. I mean, you can buy a GPS tracker that goes on a trailer. It might cost you like $50 or $60, but those type of things will keep an eye on that trailer for you a long time after.
Well, Adam, I've loved the conversation. It's a pleasure to be talking with you and to passing on your wise words. How do people get hold of you?
They can visit our website at www.innovativelegisticsgroupllc.com. Visit us on Facebook at Innovative Logistics Group, on Instagram at Innovative Logistics Group, and on Twitter as well with the same handle. So I appreciate the conversation today, Johnny. I enjoyed it myself.
Thanks, Adam, and thank you to the audience for listening.